Mr. Prime Minister, Mr. Speaker, esteemed members of the Knesset and cherished citizens of Israel, we gather on a day of profound joy, of soaring hope, of renewed faith, and above all, a day to give our deepest thanks to the Almighty God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. After 2 harrowing years in darkness and captivity, 20 courageous hostages are returning to the glorious embrace of their families, and it is glorious. 28 more precious loved ones are coming home at last to rest in this sacred soil for all of time. And after so many years of unceasing war and endless danger, today the skies are calm, the guns are silent, the sirens are still, and the sun rises on a holy land that is finally at peace, a land and a region that will live, God willing, in peace for all eternity.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all having a great and wonderful day. Well, we have wonderful news. We have that Hamas has decided to release all 20 surviving hostages under the Gaza ceasefire deal. And that is a good thing. That is a good thing. And things are moving up and things are getting better. Now, there are some problems that we have here because obviously there are people that are not quite happy about it. We'll get into that shortly. But we have it to here where a lot of people are celebrating this and are happy for this. And even MSNBC is also happy and praising Trump for this. So it really makes people angry about this and not happy about this or not super excited. Really just shows on how like unhinged and stupid they are for doing this type of stuff. So without further ado, here we go.
To say, had it not been for this gentleman, not only, who knows, India and Pakistan are both nuclear powers. Had he not intervened along with his wonderful team, during those 4 days, the war could have escalated to a level, who would have lived to tell what happened? And similarly, here in this part of the world, in Middle East, Mr. President, your valuable contribution along with President Sisi, I think history will remember in golden words. I wouldn't say more, except God bless you, God give you long life to serve like this for all time to come. Thank you very much. Very kind.
So many questions remain as to whether Hamas will indeed demilitarize, will they give up their weapons? There's a lot of skepticism about that. John Meacham, as we await President Trump, we expect his remarks in the next little bit here, and we'll obviously keep watching the proceedings there in Jerusalem. Just your thoughts. It is a historic day. We don't know if it will be the first chapter of a longer story of peace for the Middle East. The president's trying to frame it that way. We simply don't know. But even just for what today means, give us your thoughts, your perspective.
It's a terrific day for the hostage families. It's a terrific day for President Trump, for our national interests. You're right. We don't know how the story ends, but stories are made up of chapters. As Richard Haas knows, he was very much in the arena now 35 years ago. At the end of the first Gulf War, when there was a great conference in Madrid as we tried to reset the peace process. 9 years later, President Clinton, in the last hours of his presidency, made a noble attempt at Camp David. We can go on and on about the various chapters, but we should make no mistake about this. This is a victory for President Trump and for those who wish that we can govern ourselves at home and around the world, not simply by brute force, but by ideas and civilized norms.
Yeah, so there's a lot of that going on there, and it's very weird, right? It's very it's almost like we're all becoming united to this one simple thing here of this country coming together and celebrating this. And again, we have a few weird things going on, like for example, Trump urges the Israeli president to pardon Benjamin Netanyahu, an off-script moment, greatest wartime leader. Says President Trump publicly urged Israeli President Isaac Herzog to pardon Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of his bribery charges in a stunning off-script moment. Hey, I have an idea, Mr. President. Why don't you give him a pardon? Give him a pardon, Trump said during his rousing address to the Israeli parliament, triggering big applause. By the way, that wasn't in the speech, as you probably know, but I happen to like this gentleman right here or over here. Now, this is where I have my criticism with Donald Trump, because I do not like Netanyahu, and it seems that Netanyahu is playing Trump in the terms of what he wants to have control over the citizens. And I think what would be best for America and all of this other stuff is to just get on with somebody else. Get on over with Netanyahu and put somebody else in place and see where that goes from here. Because obviously, he's not this greatest, amazing guy, and I don't think Trump should be trusting him whatsoever. Obviously, we also have this here far-left politician thrown out after interrupting Trump's address to Israeli parliament. So this guy was also kicked out. So there's some interesting things that's been going on here. But even though we have all this chaotic stuff happening, right, there is and great stuff and what have you. There's still these leftists that are absolutely unhinged and are still making arguments to say that, oh, well, it's still a problem that Trump did this, and or not rather, it's a problem, but he said that it's not going to go too well, and it's just not going to be looking too great for them.
And there remain a lot of questions about what exactly happens going forward, because it's very possible that we look back on this speech as a sort of mission accomplished moment for Trump. He will have to, again, assert himself in order for anything, for the ceasefire just to be maintained. You already have Netanyahu and the president of Israel indicating that they're not done, that they want to go back in once they've gotten their hostages, their captives back. So just to maintain the ceasefire is going to continue to take presidential will, and certainly any sort of rebuilding, reconstruction, anything that even approaches looking like peace or justice will require intensive attention from this president. And the initial, 20 or 22 point plan or whatever it is that he laid out, which envisioned him running a board alongside Tony Blair, does not even come close to approximating anything like justice or peace, which is what is required in order to actually have coexistence, and an end to the cycle of violence that has gone on for years and years and years. We are a long, long way away from that. But, thank God that the people in Palestine, that people in Gaza are today able to live, able to eat, able to survive on to those next battles. I think, we have to live in that duality of this is a horrible deal. There is nothing good that is on the table for Gaza coming forward. President Trump certainly doesn't care about their humanity. And also that it is it's just, watching these little kids with joy on their face that they're able to, get some food and be able to go back to whatever remains of where they're from. It's been, I think, it's been a lot emotionally.
No, I'll be happy when there's a ceasefire.
Oh, wait, you didn't hear the news?
No, what happened?
Trump's peace deal actually went through.
Wait, are you fucking serious?
Seriously, I'm not kidding. There's hundreds of families moving back and getting all the aid that they need. Isn't that amazing?
Wow, yeah, I'm so glad to hear that.
What's wrong?
What? Nothing's wrong. Why would you ask me that? I don't
know. I just thought you'd be a little bit more happy about that.
Lock in, fuck niggas. We about to fact check this shit. First, if you fuck with me, check out the longer version of this video. Let's get it. What the hell is he talking about? I want to start by saying that yes, a ceasefire in Gaza is a great thing. But when you actually analyze the peace deal, you see it's more for Israel than it is for the Gazan people. You see, when you analyze Donald Trump's 20-point peace plan, it actually has 3 phases. In the last phase of the peace deal, Gaza is still going to be occupied by Israel. You see, in the peace deal, it says that Israel will only occupy 15% of Gaza, and Gaza is only 25 miles long, which means Gaza is going to be even more densely populated. This also means that Palestine will not be a sovereign state because it will be occupied by Israel. Not to mention that the Trump administration is also asking for Gaza to have no military power. And let's not forget that Donald Trump wanted Gaza to be a resort. So yeah, I'm happy for the ceasefire, but I'm worried for the Palestinians.
Yeah, so obviously these people are unhinged. They're psychopaths. And usually what this is because a lot of these influencers, a lot of these streamers like Pokimane, Valky Ray, and all these other idiots that try to cater to the Palestinian movement and all that stuff, typical woke gotcha talking points instead of virtue signaling. That's all going to go in smoke. Like their actual virtue signaling and their revenue of this is going in smoke because, well, the deal is done. Like there's peace starting to happen here, and they can't get any more money off of this and virtue signal and do all of this. So they're upset that their money bank, their whole thing is going up in smoke and being toasted. And even CNN has gone out and done this as well. They have celebrated Trump and stuff like that, and it is quite crazy.
Who give President Trump credit for this moment happening? Do you give him credit for this?
Oh, certainly. I mean, this is an incredible accomplishment, an incredible moment. I mean, the hostages returned. You saw the pictures. I mean, the relief for the families is amazing. But second, the final end of the war in Gaza. And the suffering in Gaza has been enormous over the course of 2 years. Now, there are miles to go on a whole host of different issues that we're going to need to work on that you've been covering this morning. But you have to look at the moment and say just ending the war and getting the hostages home is an incredible accomplishment. It was a long time coming, to be sure, but certainly the president dove in and was engaged on this issue in a way that right now truly did make a difference.
Now it gets even worse than that, guys, because obviously we can't have all great things. So we have this here where even leftists are going out and saying, oh, well, it was, and the Biden administration themselves saying, oh, well, it was just our plan, right? Trump took our plan that we were making up for, for a full year pretty much, and he stole our plan. That was our idea. Like, what are we doing here exactly? Like, this is insane. So this is the leftists have. They don't like Trump. They don't want to give Trump any credit whatsoever. They're saying like, oh, it's all part of Biden's plan. He took Biden's plan, so he shouldn't be receiving any credit at all. Like, this is how crazy the far left is.
And this just in, we have a Fox News alert. Joe Biden is signaling that he should have gotten the Nobel Peace Prize. Politico is reporting that Biden World says Trump's depraved and that he's getting too much credit for peace in the Middle East. According to sources, Biden says Trump plagiarized his peace plan. That's right. Biden thinks someone else plagiarized him. Sources tell Politico that Biden says he was the one who made the peace deal possible and Trump took too long to seal the deal. Biden couldn't do it in a year and a half. Trump just did it in 9 months. Was it Biden's idea to put Trump Tower in Gaza too?
And I know the Biden administration on its way out tried to get to a deal. It did not. What do you think is the difference here in this moment that put the Trump team ahead?
Yeah, the framework that has been put into place in this 20-point plan that the Trump administration has implemented builds on the framework of the Biden administration. And of course, there are a few differences in the plan, but it was always a phase 1, 2, and 3 approach. First, a ceasefire. Then the second phase was a return of the hostages. And then the third phase was more on the governing and what does governance look like in Gaza. And there's some differences.
And that's still a question mark right now.
That is absolutely still a question.
Blinken says it's good the president Trump adopted and built on the plan that the Biden administration developed. What do you think about that?
Everybody knows that's a joke. Look, they did such a bad job. This should have never happened. This wouldn't have even happened. That was weak leadership, terrible. And the same thing with Russia, Ukraine. If just a decent president, not a great president like me, not a great president. If a decent president was in, you wouldn't have had the Russia-Ukraine. And this is, I would say, even more so. This was bad policy by Biden and by Obama. Remember when Bibi came and he begged that you not do what they were doing with Iran? You remember that, right? Begged them. And they wouldn't even listen to him. Everything they did was the opposite what you should have done. And it's nice that they try and take a little credit. That was years ago, and the mistakes were made years ago, and it was both by Biden and Obama.
So obviously the far left is using this as a thing to try and accuse Trump of stealing something from Biden and what have you, right? And that's just completely absurd in every way. I don't see how they can even rationalize that. They're just immensely coping at this point. And to finish this all off, you have a hostage that was, a little hostage of Hamas pretty much saying that, like, they all wanted Kamala Harris to win, mostly because Kamala Harris wasn't going to do anything, and they could continue to be terrible to the hostages. But since Trump got into office and he got elected, they treated him completely different than when Kamala Harris or Biden was in. So, yeah.
He got me out. He got the hostages out. Before, we felt like nothing is happening, And I remember ever since he came into the road, they were very scared of him. Yeah, they wanted terrorists. Yeah, they wanted Kamala to be chosen, to be elected. Yeah. They wanted Kamala to be elected. But as soon as Donald Trump was elected, they understood that he wants to bring the hostages back home. Yeah. So immediately the way they treated me changed. So if it's the amount of food, I could say this, that when Trump became president, yeah, the way they treated us changed. For me, personally, this is what I felt.
Yeah, so that ain't looking too great for the Democrats or the far left, because, again, you have this guy who literally said that, they all wanted to vote for Kamala Harris, and for whatever reason, usually that means because they were going to get away with more things with Kamala Harris and stuff like that. But since Donald Trump came in, things changed for me, at least for me, because they started treating me better. They started feeding me the difference in food. So, and they realized that Trump was the one to actually wanting to get peace and get the hostages out. So again, this is just not looking good to the far left. It's just making them more unhinged, and it's just another thing to where hate Trump, hate Trump, hate Trump. And that's all that they got at this point. That's all the Democrats at the far left does. Anything that Trump does is reprehensible. It's terrible. And if he does anything good, it doesn't matter because he's still a bad person, so we shouldn't respect him either way. So it's really insane here on how the far left is operating. And it shows their true colors on how this is all going. So not really anything too surprising here, but this is the reason why the far left and the Democrats are collapsing. All right, guys, that's it for the video. Let's guys share. As always, take care, my friends.